Hello, learners. Today we are going to show you a concept map summing up the nutrition part of the third secondary ES section. First of all, normal food diet is divided into two main categories, organic food and inorganic one. The inorganic food category is divided into water and minerals, while organic food is divided into four different parts, carbohydrates, which are slow sugars such as starch, and rapid sugars such as simple sugars like glucose, galactose, lactose, sucrose, and maltose. They all give an end product of glucose, which is needed for energy expenditure and for storage. However, the second group of organic food is are proteins. So proteins will give up amino acids which contains essential group and non-essential ones, and both are used for building up our body or for energy expenditure in case of shortage of the carbohydrate source. The third main group of organic food are lipids, which can be cholesterol, glycerol, and fatty acids, which are either essential or non-essential. So, fatty acids are usually used for building up our body or for energy expenditure. However, these fatty acids can be either saturated or non-saturated, and always saturated fatty acids are usually more healthy than the unsaturated ones. Furthermore, the fourth group of organic food is vitamins, which can be hydrosoluble, that are B and vitamin C, and liposoluble, which are ADEK, ADEK. All these macroorganic food are needed in specific qualitative and quantitative amounts for a healthy life. Furthermore, energy expenditure is mainly used for basal metabolism, which is the minimum expenditure in energy that covers the basic functions of an organism. Okay? On the other hand, when food diet is unbalanced, so malnutrition may take place. Malnutrition means one of these nutrients or main groups of food is absent. Note that it's very important that malnutrition is different than subnutrition, because subnutrition is a case when food entire food is deficient, while malnutrition contains a case where we consume food, but one of these main groups is missing, or part of a vitamin, or one of a vitamin, or proteins, etc. Also, kwashiorkor is dietary disease when proteins are deficient in our food diet. So balanced diet is a balanced diet should contain, let's clarify this one. So a balanced diet should contain four portions of carbohydrates, which can be or it should be taken in a ratio of 1 over 3 rapid sugar to slow sugars. As for proteins, they they must be taken in two portions with respect to the four of carbohydrates, and it should be animal origin ratio to plant origin is equal to 1. So the amount of proteins coming from plants should be equal to that of animal origin. In addition, the balanced diet should contain one portion of lipids with respect to the other two portions of proteins and four portions of carbohydrates. And lipids should contain uh, animal origin to ratio of plant origin equal to 1 over 2. So the amount of animal origin lipids should be half that of the plant origin. Lipids can give saturated fatty acids and unsaturated fatty acids. The unsaturated fatty acids are usually liquid at room temperature, while saturated fatty acids are usually solid at room temperature. And the ratio of unsaturated fatty acids over the saturated fatty acids should always exceed 1. Also, the unsaturated fatty acids, the main ones are omega 3 and omega 6, which are main fatty acids needed to build up our cellular membrane and body function. And the omega 3 ratio over omega 6 should be always more than 1. On the other hand, low cholesterol levels is important in our diet, and we should not exceed the amount of normal cholesterol or the low amount of cholesterol because they are needed for cell membrane and hormonal production. However, excessive amount of cholesterol leads to bad consequences such as blocking blood capillaries and leads to obesity and cardiovascular diseases, which are diseases in the heart and blood vessels. Since the amount of cholesterol is usually balanced by the work of our liver, so it is taken by a molecule called HDL towards the liver, in which they are being destructed. However, if the cholesterol was taken by the LDL to our body cells in a limited amount, the cholesterol that we consumed are being uh, removed from our body. However, if there is any imbalance between the HDL and LDL, then the cholesterol amounts will accumulate and will cause many health problems. So HDL, which is the high density lipoprotein, should be much higher than that of LDL. On the other hand, here, an unbalanced diet or malnutrition case can be either a case of deficiency or the case of excess. The case of deficiency first can affect the quantity of food taken, such as uh, that case of marasmus. Marasmus means no food are taken. In some, such as in some cases, when people don't have enough food or money to get food, so they will suffer from marasmus. On the other hand, low food intake can lead to an anorexia, which is a psychological disease, and in this case, we we don't take. So in the case of anorexia, it is a psychic or psychological disease uh, in which we don't consume enough food. Concerning the qualitative one, the qualitative amount of taking vitamin B12 can lead to anemia. So deficiency in vitamin B12 leads to anemia, while the deficiency of vitamin D leads to a disease called rachitis. And deficiency of of iodine mineral leads to a case of hypothyroidism, while if proteins consumption is very deficient, then kwashiorkor will take place, and when iron is not taken by food and deficient, it also leads to the case of anemia. And finally, if vitamin B1 is not taken, then beriberi will take place, which is a disease also. And if vitamin C is deficient, scurvy will take place. And also, if calcium is deficient, osteoporosis will take place. Please take into consideration that these rules are very important to study because a lot of problems can be solved by understanding these rules. So the following rules are applicable to solve all the exercises on this subject. Rule 1 states that energy produced by 1 gram of glucose is 4 kilojoules. 1 gram of proteins is 4 kilojoules also, and 1 gram of lipids gives 9 kilojoules. Sorry, we should put kilocalories instead of kilojoules. Kilocalories, these ones. And if these numbers should be expressed in kilojoules, the numbers should be uh, multiplied by 4.18. So glucose and proteins will be about 17 kilojoules, and lipids should be about 39 kilojoules, as I think. What about Rule 2? Rule 2 states that daily basal metabolism in a man as an average value is 11,300 kilojoules, which can be divided by 4.18, equivalent to 2,700 kilojoules. The third rule states that the volume of oxygen consumed by the body in liters is equal to the mass of the body in kilograms times the intensity of respiration in liter per kilogram hour times the time in hours. The fourth rule is the energy expenditure equal to the volume of oxygen consumed times 20 kilojoules per liter. Rule 5 states that 1 liter of oxygen is needed to give 20 kilojoules of energy. 6 is 1 kilocalorie equal to 4.18 kilojoules. And the seventh one is the basal metabolic index, or sorry, body mass index, which is equivalent to the mass in kilograms of the body divided by the height square in meters. And the normal value should be between 12 and 25. Under this 25, for, above the 25, it should be obese.